Hello and welcome back to Better English Step by Step. If you are listening to this, you might be at the end of a very long day. Maybe you are driving home in the dark. Maybe you are already in your pajamas, sitting on the edge of your bed. Or maybe you are just washing the dishes, trying to find a moment of quiet. I want you to know something important right now. You do not need high energy to be here. You do not need to be alert or sharp or ready to work. In fact, if you are tired, you are in the perfect place.
That is right. We often think that learning English requires a lot of coffee and a bright desk lamp. We think we need to force our brains to work hard. But consistency isn't always about pushing. Sometimes consistency is just about staying in the environment of English, even when your batteries are low. So tonight, we are going to do something different. We are going to have a zero-energy study session.
Exactly, Mark. This is a session for the bad days, the exhausted days, the days when you almost didn't press play. By the end of this hour, you will have practiced listening, you will have learned new vocabulary for relaxation, and you will have kept your streak alive. And the best part, you are going to do it while you wind down.
I love that phrase, Sarah. Wind down. It is actually the first thing we should talk about. It is such a useful phrasal verb, but I think students often confuse it. What exactly does it mean to wind down?
Picture an old-fashioned clock. You know, the kind with a mechanical spring inside? To make the clock work, to make it energetic, you have to wind it up. You twist the key, and the spring gets tighter and tighter. That is tension. That is potential energy. That is what we do when we wake up and drink coffee. We wind up, we get tight, we get ready for action.
So, at the end of the day, we need to do the opposite. We need to unspin that spring. We need to let the tension go loose.
Precisely. To wind down means to gradually relax after a period of excitement or worry. It is the transition process. It is not just sleeping. Sleeping happens later. Winding down is the bridge between the stress of the day and the rest of the night. Let's practice this phrase first. I want you to listen to the rhythm. Wind down. The I is long, like in the word time. Wind down. Mark, give us a natural example.
Sure. I usually wind down by reading a book for 30 minutes. Or, I could say, it takes me a long time to wind down after a busy shift at work.
That is a great sentence. Listeners, I want you to try that one. You don't need to shout, you can just whisper it. Repeat after Mark.
It takes me a long time to wind down.
Try it one more time. Focus on the glide of the sounds. It takes me a long time to wind down.
And let's try a variation. I like to wind down with some music.
Repeat that. I like to wind down with some music. Very good. Just by saying these words, you are signaling to your brain that it is time to switch modes. You are telling your body that the work is done. This brings us to our second keyword for tonight, decompress.
Decompress. That sounds a bit technical, doesn't it? Like something from physics.
It is, originally. Think about a diver deep in the ocean. There is so much pressure from the water pushing on them. If they come up too fast, it is dangerous. They need to come up slowly to let the pressure equalize. They need to decompress. In our daily lives, we use this word to describe releasing the mental pressure of the day.
So, if I have had a very stressful meeting, or if I have been stuck in traffic for an hour, I feel heavy, I feel squeezed.
Yes, and you need to decompress. You need to let that pressure escape. This word feels different from winding down. Winding down is about energy levels dropping. Decompressing is about pressure releasing. It feels like taking a deep breath and letting your shoulders drop. Let's try that together right now. Wherever you are, take a deep breath in. Hold it. And now let it out. You are decompressing.
Let's put that into a sentence. I need an hour alone to decompress.
Listeners, repeat that softly. I need an hour alone to decompress.
Or you could say, the weekend is my time to decompress.
Repeat that. The weekend is my time to decompress. Notice the stress on the last syllable. Decompress. Decompress. Excellent. You are doing great. You are learning English, but you aren't stressing your brain. You are just letting the words wash over you.
Before we move to the next word, I want to remind everyone that this simple act of listening is powerful. If you are enjoying this gentle pace, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It helps us know that you want more calm, long-form lessons like this one. It's a small click for you, but it keeps us going.
Thank you, Mark. Now let's look at a phrase that often happens right before we fall asleep. Reflect. To reflect.
Like a mirror?
Exactly like a mirror. When you look at a mirror, you see yourself. When you reflect mentally, you look back at your day or your life, and you think about it quietly. It isn't about planning tomorrow. Planning is active. Planning is stressful. Reflection is passive. It is looking back at what already happened.
I think this is where many learners struggle with English thinking. They try to translate complex thoughts, but reflection can be simple.
It can be very simple. To reflect means to process. Maybe you think about a conversation you had. Maybe you think about a mistake you made, but without judgment. You are just watching the memory. Let's practice the sentence structure. I like to reflect on my day.
Notice the preposition there, reflect on, not reflect about, reflect on.
Good catch. Let's drill that. I like to reflect on my day. Listeners, your turn.
I like to reflect on my day.
Let's try a longer one. It is important to reflect on your progress.
It is important to reflect on your progress.
One more. She sat by the window to reflect.
She sat by the window to reflect.
Now we have 3 powerful concepts: wind down, decompress, reflect. These are the stages of a good evening routine. First, you wind down. You lower your energy. Then you decompress. You release the pressure. Finally, you reflect. You look back quietly. I want to take a moment now to do a gentle check-in. This is a guided speaking exercise. I am going to ask you a simple question. I want you to answer it honestly, out loud, but softly. Just a simple yes or no, or a short sentence is enough.
This is great. No pressure to be perfect. Just answer the question for yourself.
Question 1. Does your body feel heavy right now? Take a second. Notice your shoulders. Notice your legs. Does your body feel heavy?
If the answer is yes, you can simply say, my body feels heavy.
Question 2. Is your mind racing or is it slowing down? If it is racing, that means thoughts are moving very fast. If it is slowing down, things are becoming quiet. Tell me, is your mind racing or slowing down?
If you are racing, you might say, my mind is still racing. If you are slowing, say, I am slowing down.
Question 3. What is one thing you are grateful for today? It doesn't have to be big. It could be a hot cup of coffee. It could be that the bus was on time. It could be that you are warm right now. What is one thing? Say it out loud. I am grateful for...
I will answer that one. I am grateful for this quiet time.
Beautiful. That is the spirit of this lesson. We are using English not to test ourselves, but to comfort ourselves. Now, I want to introduce a slightly more advanced phrase, but it is perfect for this time of night. The phrase is, to call it a day.
Oh, that is a classic idiom, to call it a day.
It is very common in business, but we use it in life too. It means to decide that you are finished working or doing something. You are declaring that the activity is over. You are drawing a line. So if I am studying and I am getting very tired and my eyes are hurting, I might say, you know what? I'm going to call it a day. Exactly. It is a permission slip. You are giving yourself permission to stop. You aren't quitting. You aren't failing. You are just calling it a day. Let's practice the pronunciation. It connects together. Call it a day. It almost sounds like one long word. Call it a day. Call it a day. Try it, listeners. I think I'm going to call it a day. I think I'm going to call it a day. Let's try it in the past tense. We worked hard, so we called it a day. We worked hard, so we called it a day. This is a great phrase to say to yourself when you turn off your computer or close your textbook. It feels final. It feels safe. Now, Mark and I are going to tell you a story. This isn't a fast story. Nothing exciting happens. No dragons, no car chases. It is a story about a character named Tom coming home. Why are we telling a boring story, Sarah? Because boring is good for the brain at night. We want to simulate or copy the feeling of relaxation. We want you to visualize Tom's routine. As you listen, try to picture the scene in your mind. I will read a section, and then we will pause to look at the language.
Okay, everyone get comfortable. Close your eyes if you can.
Here is the story.
The rain was tapping gently against the window pane. Tom turned the key in the lock and pushed the heavy wooden door open. He stepped inside and immediately felt the warmth of the house wrap around him. It was a sharp contrast to the cold wind outside. He let out a long sigh, dropping his keys into the small bowl on the table. Clink! The sound was the signal. The day was over.
Let's pause there. There is some lovely imagery here. The warmth wrapped around him.
Yes, to wrap around means to surround completely, like a blanket. It suggests safety. Tom isn't just entering a house, he is entering a safe zone. And notice the sound, clink, the keys hitting the bowl. We call this a sensory detail. It helps your brain believe the story is real.
And he let out a long sigh. To sigh, that is that deep breath out we talked about earlier, decompressing.
Let's continue. Tom kicked off his shoes and lined them up by the mat. He peeled off his wet coat and hung it on the hook. Underneath, his shoulders felt stiff. He rolled his neck, once to the left, once to the right. He walked to the kitchen, the floorboards creaking softly under his socks. He filled the kettle with water and pressed the switch.
I like the verb peeled off. He peeled off his wet coat. Why not just took off?
Peeled off suggests it was difficult or tight, or maybe the coat was wet and sticking to him. It emphasizes the relief of removing it. It feels good to peel off work clothes, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And the floorboards creaking, that is a very cozy sound. It means the house is old, settled.
Let's go on. While the water boiled, Tom stared out the window into the dark garden. He couldn't see much, just the reflection of his own tired face in the glass. He didn't think about the emails he hadn't answered. He didn't think about the meeting for tomorrow morning. He simply watched the steam start to rise from the kettle. The click of the kettle turning off was the only sound in the room.
Here we see him consciously choosing not to think. He isn't planning. He is just existing.
He is present. He is waiting for the tea. This is a micro moment of rest.
Let's finish the scene.
Tom poured the hot water over the tea bag. The smell of chamomile and honey filled the air. He wrapped both hands around the warm mug, letting the heat seep into his palms. He walked to the living room and sank into the soft armchair. He took a sip. He closed his eyes. Finally, he could let go. He was home.
He sank into the armchair, not sat, sank.
To sink into a chair implies you are giving all your weight to the chair. You are not holding yourself up anymore. You trust the chair to hold you. That is total relaxation.
Okay, Sarah, we have the story. What are we going to do with it?
We are going to do a shadowing technique called the whisper shadow. Usually when we shadow, we try to match the speed and volume of the speaker to improve pronunciation. But tonight, we are focusing on flow and relaxation. I am going to read sentences from the story again, very slowly. I want you to repeat them after me, but only in a whisper.
Why a whisper?
Because whispering requires less breath and less muscular effort. It is very calming. It also helps you focus on the articulation of the consonants without shouting. Are you ready? Remember, just whisper.
I am ready.
He stepped inside and felt the warmth.
He stepped inside and felt the warmth.
He let out a long sigh.
He let out a long sigh.
The day was over.
The day was over.
He peeled off his wet coat.
He peeled off his wet coat.
Underneath, his shoulders felt stiff.
Underneath, his shoulders felt stiff.
He rolled his neck to the left.
He rolled his neck to the left.
The floorboards creaked under his socks.
The floorboards creaked under his socks.
He sank into the soft armchair.
He sank into the soft armchair.
Finally, he could let go.
Finally, he could let go.
How did that feel, Mark?
It felt very intimate, like I was telling the story to myself. It didn't feel like study.
That is the secret. When you whisper English, it feels like an internal monologue. It helps you start thinking in English because it is so close to the volume of your thoughts. You can do this anytime you are tired. Just read a paragraph of a book, but read it in a whisper. It is soothing.
I noticed we use the phrase let go at the end of the story. That seems like another important phrasal verb for the evening.
It is vital. To let go means to release control. Imagine you are holding a rope very tightly. Your hands hurt. To let go is to open your fingers and drop the rope. At night, we often hold on to the stress of the day like a rope. We keep thinking about it. We keep worrying. To sleep, you must let go.
Let's practice that with a few affirmations. Affirmations are positive sentences we say to influence our mindset.
Good idea. I will say an affirmation and you whisper it back. I am letting go of today.
I am letting go of today.
I am letting go of my worries.
I am letting go of my worries.
I have done enough for today.
I have done enough for today.
That last one is important. I have done enough. Many of us lay in bed thinking we should have done more. But to be consistent, you have to accept that what you did today was enough. You are here, listening to English. That is enough.
We have a few more minutes left in this session. I think we should talk about the transition to sleep. We have wound down, we have decompressed, we have reflected. Now we are getting into bed. There is some specific vocabulary for this stage too.
Yes, let's talk about the word drowsy. Drowsy. D-R-O-W-S-Y.
It sounds like a heavy word.
It is. Being drowsy describes the feeling right before you fall asleep. Your eyelids feel heavy. You can't focus your eyes. You are halfway between awake and asleep. It is different from tired. You can be tired but wide awake. Drowsy means your body is shutting down for sleep.
So if I take cold medicine, sometimes the bottle says may cause drowsiness.
Exactly. It makes you sleepy. Let's practice. I am feeling a bit drowsy.
I am feeling a bit drowsy.
The warm milk made me drowsy.
The warm milk made me drowsy.
And then once you are drowsy, you hope to drift off. To drift off.
Drift usually refers to a boat floating on water, moving slowly without an engine.
That is a beautiful image for sleep. You don't crash into sleep. You don't run into sleep. You float gently into it. You drift off. I was reading my book and I started to drift off.
That sounds so peaceful. Let's repeat it. I started to drift off.
I started to drift off.
I usually drift off around 11 p.m.
I usually drift off around 11 p.m.
And then, finally, you are out like a light.
Out like a light. That is an idiom meaning to fall asleep very quickly and deeply, just like switching off a lamp. Click. Darkness. Sleep. He was so tired he was out like a light.
I hope everyone listening is getting close to that state. Maybe not out like a light just yet, but definitely drifting.
Before we finish, I want to recap what you have achieved today. Remember, you started this video feeling tired. You probably wanted to just scroll on your phone or stare at the wall, but you didn't. You chose to listen.
You learned the difference between winding up and winding down. You practiced the pronunciation of decompress. You learned to reflect on your day using English structures.
You visualized a calming story about coming home. You shadowed that story using the whisper technique to build fluency without effort. And you learned how to describe your own sleepiness with words like drowsy and drift off.
That is a lot of English, and you did it without a textbook. You did it without stress.
This is the power of consistency. Consistency isn't about running a marathon every day. It is about taking one small step, even when your legs are heavy. You took that step tonight. You should be proud of yourself.
If you found this session helpful, if it helped you turn a difficult, tired evening into a productive study session, please consider subscribing to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so that next time you are feeling overwhelmed, you can find us easily. We have many more step-by-step lessons coming that fit into your life, not the other way around.
And here is my final challenge for you tonight. It is a very small challenge. When this video ends, I want you to put your phone down. Do not open social media. Do not check your email one last time. Just say one sentence out loud to yourself. Say, I am calling it a day. And then let yourself drift off.
That sounds perfect.
Thank you for letting us be part of your evening. You have done great work today. Now it is time to rest.
Good night, everyone.
Good night and sweet dreams. Sleep well.